And now for Paladin class cards. 3 mana, 2/4 Elemental, Benevolent Genie. Or the Djinn, but it's a genie. At the end of your turn, restore 3 health to your hero. That is an amazing card. Paladins have a lot of ways of keeping minions alive. They have all sorts of buffs and divine shields and whatever else you may need to keep your minion alive. So that being the case, this will probably survive 2 turns, in which case its mana cost, in terms of the value it gets, this is probably around a 5 mana card that you play for 3 mana on turn 3, which makes it a great card. The only problem is that if you're playing it on turn 3, you probably haven't taken that much damage. It would get the most use against rushy decks. Beyond that, you probably can't curve it out. So in order to really get value, you need your opponent to start doing face damage. With that being the case, it's an okay card. It's not spectacular. 2 mana, Lesser Pearl Spellstone. Summon a 2/2 Spirit with Taunt. Restore 3 health to upgrade, which combos with the previous card. And let's see what the upgrades happen to be. Summon a 4/4 with Taunt. And then summon a 6/6 with Taunt. Even if you only restore 3 health, this is already a great card. 2 mana, summon a 4/4 are the best 2 mana stats you can possibly get, outside of some Battlecry that buffs it up. And obviously a 2 mana 6/6 is absolutely spectacular. The only problem is that you have to restore 3 health on 2 separate occasions. So you can't restore 6 health at once and just have it upgrade to the final one. But beyond that, it's a fantastic card. Absolutely fantastic card, because no matter what, you're going to get some value out of it. Unidentified Maul, 3 mana, 2/2 weapon. What happens is that when you draw it in your hand, it can become one of these 4 Mauls. So Battlecry, give your minions +1 attack. Champion's Maul, Battlecry, summon 2 1/1 Silverhand Recruits. Purifier's Maul, give your minions Divine Shield. Sacred Maul, give your minions Taunt. The Divine Shield one is really good. If you have even 2 minions on the board and you give them all Divine Shield and you get 2/2 weapon, that is spectacular. This one is also spectacular because if you play any sort of rushy deck, giving your minions +1 attack and getting that weapon is great. Summon 2 1/1 Silverhand Recruits is not very good unless you have a Silverhand Recruit buff deck. It wouldn't really make sense to make that deck just in the 1 in 4 chance that you get the Champion's Maul. And then Sacred Maul, give your minions Taunt. That's probably the worst one, I would say. Just because there's a lot of better taunts you could get, and you generally don't want to taunt up your minions. There's a lot of minions you don't want taunted. The whole point of having a taunt mechanic is so that you can protect minions that you don't want your opponent to be able to kill. This is good to draw if you happen to be on your last breath. Otherwise, it's probably the worst of the 4. 5 mana, level up. Give your Silverhand Recruits +2/+2 in Taunt, which obviously combos with the Champion's Maul. But again, you don't really want them to have Taunt. You want them to not be attackable. I don't know why they would give it Taunt as well. 4 mana, Call to Arms. Recruit 3 minions that cost 2 or less. So if you have no minions that cost less than 2 mana, this is a 6 mana card. You spend 4 mana to summon 3 minions that cost 2 mana. Even if you only summon minions that cost 1, you're still using a single card to summon 3 minions. Based on that, if you happen to have good 1 mana minions, even that is a good card. I certainly expect this to see a lot of play in Zui decks. Basically, Paladin is getting a lot of ways to rush you down. You better have some good board clears ready, because this will absolutely destroy you if you're not prepared. What is this? Lanessa Sunsorrow, 1 mana 7/7? This Battlecry better be amazing. Battlecry, cast each spell you cast on your minions to this game on this one. Okay, that makes sense. Now I understand why it's a 1/1. Blizzard has not lost their minds. The only question I have about this card is, does it work for AoE spells? Because this gives, for example, give your Silverhand Recruits +2/+2. Does that affect Lanessa? She's not a Silverhand Recruit, but it was cast on the minion. So do minion-specific spells work on Lanessa? If yes, this is a great card. If no, it's a terrible card. If you have buffed your minions up +6/+6 by the time you get to turn 7, this card breaks even because you can already play 7 mana 7/7 without any sort of Battlecry. If you also have Divine Shield, this card would then become better than that. If you have any more than that, this is an amazing card and has the potential to be the best 7 mana card in the game, given that you have been buffing up your minions all game. If not, it's an awful card, and why do you have it in your deck? What is this? 7 mana, Psychic Scream. Shuffle all minions into your opponent's deck. The only thing I'm thinking of right now is just Tunnel Weasel Tunnelers. When it says all minions, does it mean all minions, as in every minion on the board, every minion in each person's hand, and every minion in each person's deck? I'm confused as to what this actually does, but if it's every minion that exists in the current game you're playing, I don't see any value out of this card because it makes it very hard to control what it is your opponent actually gets. This is either the worst design card they've ever released or the singular best design card they've ever released, in that it's going to provide a lot of fun for people using it, but also it's a terrible card if you actually like winning games. 7 mana for a useless spell is what would you do? What would you do to win the game with this? You wouldn't. You would only play it just to mess with your opponent, but beyond that, it doesn't do much. 7 mana legendary Temporis, 6/6 dragon, Battlecry. Your opponent takes 2 turns, then you take 2 turns. This seems like an awful card. Why would this be in the game? Blizzard, if you give me 2 turns by turn 7, I can play enough cards on the board to kill my opponent. The only way this could be useful is in a Mage deck where they have Ice Block up. A Priest without Ice Block is just going to get killed. Why would you ever play this? Is some other card going to come out that combos with this somehow? Why would you want to play this card? You're just going to die. Is that not what's going to happen? Explain to me why that would not happen. Next, moving on. Rogue, Faldore Strider. Battlecry, shuffle 3 ambushes into your deck. When drawn, summon a 4/4 spider. It's a 4 mana 4/4. So just based on those stats, it is playable by itself. Based on the Battlecry, if you summon even one of these spiders, you have made your money back on this. You have made an extremely valuable play. The only problem is that rogues don't really play a lot of board control. So this is great for board control, but rogues don't really win the game by means of them having a lot of minions on the board. There's a lot of combos that go on. So although this is a good card, I don't think it's broken just because the rogue archetype doesn't combo that well with it. I like it. I would play it. But as of now, there's not a lot of ways to really combo this out. Outside of Miracle Rogue, which just draws all your spiders on the board. Beyond that, it's not that good. 3 mana 2/2 legendary Sonya, Shadow Dancer. After a friendly minion dies, add a 1/1 copy of it to your hand. It costs 1. So ideally you would want to have good minions on the board already, but even without them, say you were to combo this with Prince Kel'Theth, now you could get like 5 of them. If you really wanted to, you could even figure out ways to kill your own minions and just keep getting all sorts of combos. Really, this card can also be used for 1-turn kill shenanigans, where you keep getting your own minions back and you keep getting these as well. Because you can summon another one of these. You can make a copy of this and summon that. It just keeps respawning, and then you keep getting 2 minions in your hand that cost 1/1. If you happen to have a lot of mana to use, you can just kill people in 1 turn with this card. I really like it. It opens up the door for a lot of combo decks. I love it. Shaman cards. Kobold Hermit. Battlecry, summon a basic totem, or choose a basic totem and then summon it. Now it's a 2 mana 1/1. For the stats, it's awful. But think about what this does. Your hero power costs 2 mana. This also summons a 1/1 and it summons your hero power. So based on that, it's already better than just your hero power, but because you have to use a card on it, it's not good unless you have other cards in your deck that combo with totems. In a totem combo deck, this is a great card. If you're just using it as a part of a shaman deck to have another card in your deck, I wouldn't play it. 3 mana Primal Talismans. Give your minions Death Rattle, summon a random basic totem. If you have 2 minions on the board, this card makes its value back. If you only have 1 minion on the board, it does not. And again, if you have totem combo cards, then this is a great card. Otherwise, it's not a good card. Windshear Stormcaller. Battlecry. If you control all 4 basic totems, summon Alakir the Windgord. That's a 5 mana 5/5. And Alakir the Windgord has Wind Fury, Charge, Divine Shield, and Taunt. I now understand why these other cards exist in the game. Holy crap. You can easily get all 4 totems out by turn 5, even without these other cards. I really like this card. I like it a lot. It's such a well-designed card just because You have to be working at for it towards the entire game. You have to properly design your deck for it. And when you get its battle cry, Alakir the Windlord is not any level of overpowered. This is a very easy card to kill. But if you also get a 5/5 on the board and you have those other basic totems, it makes it very good. The problem is you can only have 7 minions on the board. So by the time you summon Windshear Stormcaller, you have 4 other basic totems out there. So that's 5 minions. You summon Alakir, that's 6 minions, which means you can only have 1 more minion out on the board. So you do have to be wary of that. Otherwise, this is an amazing card. 6 mana, Grumble World Shaker. 7/7, Battlecry, return your other minions to your hand. They cost 1. The first thing to note is that it does not copy your minions. Okay? You return them, which means you cannot keep any healthy minions out on the board. You can resummon them for 1 mana, but you're not going to get value out of it unless you've already traded with them or done some damage with them. If, however, you have a bunch of Battlecry minions, then this card is absolutely amazing. So by turn 6, say you have 3 minions on the board, they all have Battlecries. You've used all the Battlecries. You play this, you get them back in your hand. You can summon them for 1/1. Then this becomes an amazing card. Just based on the stats, this is very much playable. It's a classic example of power creep, where in the basic card set, there's a 7 mana 7/7, this is 6 mana 7/7. And then the battle cry itself, if you have even 1 minion on the board, honestly, this card is already playable. If you have any more than 1 minion on the board, this card is spectacular. Assuming you've chosen any good cards at all, this is a great card. 8 mana, 3/3 legendary weapon, Rune Spear. After your hero attacks, discover a spell and cast it with random targets. So you do 9 damage total with this. If your opponent does not ooze it, it does not have any level of ooze protection, and I would imagine that people will be running a lot of oozes this expansion. What should be noted is that you are not recruiting a spell. You are discovering a spell, so it's any random spell with random targets. I don't like that. It's a poorly designed card. It should at least be a recruiter spell, or it shouldn't be random targets. This card is not very good. If it happens to be good, it's because you got completely lucky out of it. There's so many cards that they've introduced this patch that are like that. They're fun cards to play. They're not fun cards to play against. In that it's not fun to lose against a card like this. This is the sort of thing that increases the amount of cancer in Hearthstone. I don't like it. Get it out of here. Warlock. Cataclysm. Destroy all minions. Discard your hand. So if you're playing a discard deck, it's quite possible that you don't have a lot of discard minions in your hand anyway. Or you have minions in your hand that buff off of discard. So they may summon themselves. They may get more damage. They keep trying to push this discard archetype in Warlock. I think Cataclysm is a card that can really drive it home. It also clears the board, which is spectacular. You can draw this at any point in the game. And if you're in such bad shape to where it's useful, then you're not going to be hurt by it just because there's so many cards you could play that synergize with discards. 9 mana Voidlord, Taunt, Death Rattle, summon 3/1/3 demons with Taunt. It's a 3/9 demon. If your opponent has board clears, this is the worst card I've ever seen. 3 mana or 9 mana 3/9 is awful stats. 3/1/3s on turn 9 or 10 is awful. Unless your opponent has a minion deck and they can only win by going through taunts and they don't have board clears. But everybody's got board clears these days, which means Voidlord is not a good card. Not a good card unless you can summon it early before turn 9. Otherwise, it's not very good. The one saving grace about it is that it combos with the Gul'dan Legendary minion or Gul'dan Legendary hero. Beyond that, I would not play it. Unless you have Blood Reaver Gul'dan, I would not play Voidlord. And now for Warrior. 7 mana Lesser Mithril Spellstone, summon 1/5/5 Mithril Golem. Obviously, those are terrible stats for a 7 mana card. Equip a weapon to upgrade. Summon 2 5/5s, and if you equip a weapon again, you summon 3 5/5s. So if you equip even one weapon, this card is worth it because the 5/5 is worth around 4 or 5 mana. Let's call it 5 mana. So if you summon 2, that's a 10 mana card on 7 mana, and you only have to play 1 card, and you get the bonus of equipping a weapon at some point in time. If you happen to summon 2 weapons, you get 3 5/5 Mithril Golems, but weapons generally don't get used on a single turn. So chances are this will take you 2 or 3 turns, possibly 3 or 4, to get to the final Greater Mithril Spellstone, at which point in time you'll probably be on turn 10, and having 3 5/5s on the board is not that powerful anymore. But still, that would make it a 15 mana card for 7 mana, so I do expect this to see play. I wouldn't play more than one of them though. Actually, I might play two of them just to get the most value out of equipping weapons. If you have a lot of brawls and other ways to control the board, and you have a Mithril Spellstone for as part of your finisher, then it's a pretty good card, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching. I have 2 new Hearthstone videos a week, every Monday and Tuesday. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified about every single video that I make. Thanks for watching.